before I decided to move over to the good old USA, I thought I had this country figured out. I'd watched enough Hollywood movies, I'd had enough Happy Meals and Whoppers from BK, thinking that this was the place for me, but I knew it like the back of my hand. It turns out I was wrong. So today I'm sharing with you 5 things that absolutely shook my British brain for better or for worse. For number 1, we have to start with the biggest question that I get asked every single day from everyone around me in this country. How are you? Now, back home in the UK, if you get asked how are you, it's almost an invitation to a therapy session. So when I first got here, and every single person greeted me that way, whether it was the barista, the checkout assistant, the gas attendant, my fight or flight kicked in because I was worried. I was like, do I actually tell them about my day? Do they care that I've got a bad knee? Do I speak to them about this? I don't know. What I quickly realised is that actually they do care, and they're actually some of the friendliest people. For a while I did think it was fake, mainly because in the UK, if they're asking you that question, they usually want your wallet. Typically, they don't actually care. Initially, I had my guard up. I really didn't think that they cared. But what I've noticed very early on is people in America are genuinely friendly. It's so refreshing to see actual communities and actual neighbourhoods. You see kids playing basketball at the end of the cul-de-sac. That's unheard of in the UK. You're not seeing kids even outside anymore, but if they're in little congregated sections, they're not all playing on the street. My neighbours, more than willing to help whenever. As soon as they knew that we were fresh into the country, advice, left, right and centre, wanting to take us to places because we didn't have our car. I still have my days of being a cynic. I'm British after all, that's what we do, which I'm slowly unlearning, but genuinely, I haven't really had an interaction where someone's asking that and then trying to sell me something. People asking that because they actually care and they want to hear about your day, which is completely unheard of. So great to hear. The second realisation was the absolute scale of everything in this country. Now look, back home, you know that this place is big, but you don't really understand until you are here. Let me give you an example. So from where I live, back in the UK, if I drove 2 hours, I would be in another country. If I drive 2 hours here, I am in the same state. I haven't even left the state, the same place. How insane is that? It's not even just the roads I'm talking about. It's the cars, it's the houses, it's the portion sizes. Everything in America is bigger. Now, doesn't always necessarily mean it's better, but it's definitely bigger. When you first get here, it's a lot to take in. It really is. But after a while, you get used to it. And actually, it's quite a freeing mindset. After a while of being here, you realise that having so much space is just so freeing for you, your family, your mental health. Back in the UK, we are definitely quite crammed as a society because it's a small island, which makes sense. But houses are smaller, you have less space, everything may be easier to get to, but you are definitely very crammed. In America, you can have as much land as you want. You got acre plots of land, you got the big car, you got unlimited amounts of food. Probably for me, not the best thing. I've put on a lot of weight, but that's a story for a different day. The geography itself just means it makes you feel like you can do more. Now, there is a big downside to this. You are so reliant on a car in America. In the UK, you used to walk to the shops to get some milk. You're not doing that over here. Where I live, and this was a massive shock to me when I first got here. I wanted to walk to the shop because I hadn't got a car yet. I had to do my driving license again. I went to walk. There wasn't even a sidewalk or a pavement for my fellow UK folks. I had to walk on the road with the cars, and the only separator between me and the cars was a white painted line down the road. That was it. There was cars coming down at 70 miles an hour, and my fate was in their hands. If they had drinks and they swerved, I was gone. It's just not safe to walk here. Also, the distances. For me to get milk, I'd have to probably walk 45-50 minutes. It's not sustainable. If you've got a huge amount of shopping to do, you're not doing that, which means there's a massive reliance on a car here. If you don't drive, it's an issue. Now, it might not be the same for every state. Of course, if you're in New York, great, get the metro. Of course, you're not going to really want to drive. But for the majority of the states, you have to drive. If you don't, you will be miserable and you will be cooped up in your home all day. You don't want that. Now, number 3 might be the biggest culture shock and one that might surprise you the most if you are not living in America, and that is around work. Work is your identity in America. The amount of parties that I've been to, and the first question is always the same. What do you do? At first I was, had my backup. I was like, I'm more than an office desk. I'm more than a spreadsheet. Why am I getting, labelled that way? I have kind of warmed to it now though. People here actually care what they do. They want to build things. They want to build a better life for their family, for their friends, for themselves. Whereas in the UK, we don't really have that mindset. The mindset is, let's do a 9 to 5, wait till the weekend and get drunk. In America, there's definitely a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of entrepreneurship, and that mindset really is contagious, especially if you're coming here and you have that similar mindset. If you want to do well, there is a lot of opportunities here. And just to be surrounded by those like-minded people is really beneficial for me, definitely. Again, don't get me wrong, there are definitely issues with the work culture here. I'm sure we already know, or if you don't, holiday here or vacation time in America is not very good. Maternity leave is outrageously bad. So in the UK, you typically get 9 months off for maternity. Here you get 4 months. Typically, it can actually be less. It's down to the employer, but I think most places is 4 months. So you're already taking a 5-month reduction in maternity. So look, I'm not going to lie, it is intense. It's not for everyone, but being around people with that similar mindset, it really is contagious. All right, number 4, and this one still makes my skin crawl, and it's the lack of social subtext. So to give you an example for my fellow Americans watching this video, in the UK, we've turned not saying what we really mean into an Olympic sport. If I say something like that's brave or that's different, that means it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. That's just the way we do it in the UK. We are very polite, too polite at times. We don't tell people what we really think. It's not like that over here. People here are just honest. You ask for an opinion, they'll give you the truth whether you like it or not. And at the start, it's tough, taking criticism that you probably deserve, but you've just never heard before, right? But again, after time, you warm to it because you're not having to decipher what someone actually means. You know where you stand with, a project at work or with a friendship. It took me a while to get over the initial cringe of someone just being so direct and so blunt with me. But after a while, you find out that it's just so exhausting having to guess what someone is actually thinking. So when someone's just direct and they tell you it, honestly, it's so freeing. You don't need to worry. You know where you stand. You move on, you accept it or you don't, but you're not guessing. And that's the main thing, and one of the best things about this place. And finally, number 5, money and talking about money. In the UK, it's not something you talk about. We don't tell our friends how much we earn. We don't tell our family how much we earn. It makes your skin crawl. It's not a nice thing to speak about. It's very taboo. In the US, you tell your granddad how much you're earning. You tell your friends how much you're earning. You tell everyone. And again, at the start, like all of these things, it's uncomfortable. I've never told anyone else outside of my wife how much I earn. It's not something that we do. But then again, you find out that it's pretty freeing. And actually, if we want the best market for employees, you share how much you earn. Because more people are talking about it, then we know if we're getting underpaid, if we're getting overpaid, if we're getting paid correctly. And if you're getting underpaid and you know about it, then you can go and speak to your boss or your company and say, look, this isn't right. So actually openly sharing it benefits the employer when no one knows how much someone else is earning, because then the employer can underpay you, but you wouldn't know any different. So was I wrong about America? Yeah, big time. I thought it was just going to be big and loud and fake. And let's be honest, sometimes it's all of those things and more. But deep down, when you look beyond the surface, it really is an amazing place. It's not perfect. I really miss a British pub. Don't understand why I have to do tax returns even though I'm employed by a company. Please, someone make that make sense. I'm not self-employed. That's a video for another day. But the space, the optimism, the belief, they're all truly incredible things. I came here as a skeptic, but this place is better than I expected it to be. And for that, I'm grateful. Let me know in the comments what's one thing that shocked you about living in the US. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. There's more to come.